Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to week 3 of Aegis Protectors League. I am your caster, Aulzeren0r. I am joined by PrettyFig this evening on the bench, and today we are going to be watching a fascinating match, a cross-division match here between Lotus Prestige and our very own ZMG Legends.
Looks like they're about to start draft. Uh, I guess Azir will not get his Azir champion 2 weeks in a row.
Well, I think Prestige learned from their sister team. Obviously, we did play Lotus Blossom last week, who is in ZMG's division. What was that, game 1 that they let through Azir's Azir?
Correct, it was game 1.
Uh, Although he had a rough early game, he kind of took over in the late game and became an absolute menace, so that's going away.
Although they did end up trying to counterpick his Azir with the Echo and then applied a lot of early game jungle presence. I mean, Azir does have over 600 games of Azir this split, so I feel like he was able to know his power spikes and when he can make plays.
Having 600 games on a champ does tend to make you pretty good at knowing how to play your champ, as it would in fact turn out. Any surprises here from ZMG's bands so far? We have Ezreal and Volibear.
Um, I'm not really sure on the side of ZMG, but I am not surprised by the Hecarim ban and the Lucian ban, especially since they're probably going to try to stop the Lucian Nami lane.
With all 6 bans in place, we're getting into draft here. And the last second Senna pick. Now, will you be
I
expecting
tried.
this to be a standard Senna or a fasting Senna?
I think this is probably going to end up being either a Senna Tom Kench or a Senna Seraphine.
So either way, you think it will be a fasting Senna.
Yeah, farming Senna just really is not as strong, in my opinion.
Very fair.
Oh, Lulu and let me guess, Kog'Maw. I'm gonna guess it.
Well, the Twitch is still up. Twitch Lulu has been a strong pick recently, so it wouldn't be too surprising to see that come out here. We do see the Kog'Maw. You predicted it correctly there.
Mm, expect them to at least pick up maybe like Seraphine here. Because I mean, it can be flex mid, as ADC mid lane. Probably not in the jungle though. Probably Seraphine jungle doesn't work.
We're gonna see some old school league get a top lane Seraphine out here.
Oh, there's the J4, and
Now with this J4, do you think the jungler for Lotus Prestige, Widowmaker, do you expect early pressure from him in the pre-6 range, or do you think he'll wait until he gets that Cataclysm?
I really do feel like J4 typically does apply pressure early, even before 6. I feel like J4, unlike some of the other junglers that like really hard for like scale, he's very reliant on getting his team like kind of ahead.
Very fair, and he will have a juicy target here in the bot lane. Senna and Seraphine have some pretty strong lockdown, and Kog'Maw is not known for his escape mechanisms.
It looks like they're gonna go with the Swain pick. Where's it
Azir
coming?
has gone a little bit too aggressive on Swain in some of the previous scrims that we have seen from him, but has played somewhat better in match play. So it will be interesting to see which version of Azir's Swain we'll be getting tonight.
I think recently Azir's like second best champion right now is the Swain. So it doesn't full on surprise me that he picked the Swain. We got the Alawi ban, and I
Is
wonder if
that
that means they're going to try to do a full like and more engaging top laner then, because Alawi kind of wants people to go in on her. So things like Jax and I can't think of other ones right now, but they do not appreciate Alawi picks.
would Renekton be another engaged champ? I say trying not to laugh. Renekton is not at all relevant right now, it feels like, but technically.
The internet can work. Oh, it looks like they're gonna go for a Trundle. That's a little interesting because I don't like they didn't really pick Sejuani, so I don't know if Trundle's really needed. And I
Uh,
know like
Is it a
the oops sorry,
I was gonna ask if it was a targeted ban against Joe Baby, but
it's most likely like a Joe Baby ban versus a top lane ban.
I don't think I've seen him play a Trundle yet,
He
at
has
least in the games
some
I've casted.
he has some games on it, but I think it's more of a like I feel like Trundle is usually more of a counter pick to like a Sejuani.
Instead, we see the Kayn being picked up here for Joby. I feel like Kayn is a bit of a double-edged sword here, because you kind of have to put your pressure on the map to get your transformation, obviously. But if you show up in the same lane as J4, you're going to have significantly less fight pressure.
Um, that's an interesting lineup if they actually go with that.
I I don't know what I'm looking at.
That's a
It's
Vayne top, Tristana, Senna bot lane, and Seraphine mid. If they
no,
do pick,
I get what it is. I don't know why. I
I think it's because oh
no,
okay
they go
that
with Ornn, but okay. I mean they had to have just been playing with us there, but that was a peak solo queue moment right there.
see okay so like I don't mind the Tristan pick per se, but I just think Seraphine Senna is such a strong lane that I feel like you could be choosing like more of a counter matchup mid lane, knowing that it is Swain mid, unless that's a Tristana mid. You don't know. People do it. Aw, I was kind of hoping for the Mordekaiser because I really like watching the Mordekaiser Orin matchup.
We have had some pretty good Mordekaiser games coming out of ZMGs here recently. More so ZMG Luna than ZMG Legends, if I recall correctly.
So if this is probably gonna be what like Red Cane because Red Cane tends to be more popular in comp. So what lanes can he really gank? It'd probably be what top and jungle, right?
He has to gank the top lane, which makes him very predictable here, and really, if Widowmaker so chooses, allows him to be ready to counter any early aggression from Joe Baby. On the other hand, all of the damage dealers for Lotus Prestige are very squishy. So
Yeah.
it might not be as troll as it feels at first glance for Joe Baby to take the blue cane here, especially with the Yorick and with the Swain to provide tank stats.
With the York pick, I do think they're probably gonna stick to their trademark of a 1-4 split, probably. Um, so I guess like having Kane go top early wouldn't be very bad, so that they're able to get the orbs needed and get York ahead, so that he can really be that split push power.
I'm not entirely convinced that Yorick needs too much help against Ornn. in the early game.
Hey,
But
any snowball is a snowball, right?
this is true.
Because once Orin isn't really able to match York, who do they send? I don't think Seraphine would do very well into York, to be honest.
I guess you would have to send the Tristana, but that
You would
doesn't
have to
feel like a
send
good
two.
matchup.
You would have to send two. And if they're sending two to deal with the York, then there's a 3v4 across the map.
Yeah.
Ideally.
That's the hope if you're a ZMG right now, looking at the drafts. Now, I have not seen Teagarden's Kog'Maw. How is Teagarden on this Kog'Maw? Is he confident enough on it that ZMG can really play around him?
I mean, in the past, this is a standard comp that they've, I think, ran before, either in scrims or tournament matches. I can't fully recall. I watch a lot of games in this org.
And of
And
course,
then like Kog'Maw Lulu is just a typically like a very strong lane. Even
right,
like
of
when
course.
Kog'Maw wasn't meta, it was still like a decent pick.
Right, right. Yeah, unfortunately, I have not seen all of the scrims and matches
Oh
that
my gosh, it
ZMG
is a
Legends played.
Tristana mid. It's a Tristana mid. Unless they're about to like last minute swap at 20 seconds. But
Did you expected the Seraphine mid?
well, I said that they may like do something spicy and send the Tristana mid, but like I feel like she's a little bit vulnerable to ganks. Depending on the route that they take, especially with the Swain pool, like a Swain pool right into like a cane face. Like I don't know.
I mean, it depends on whether or not Crits overuses his rocket jump. Uh, Obviously, Swain has the ability to deal a lot of damage if Tristana jumps in on him thanks to that close range Q. But the would think that that lane would be slightly Tristana favored. Let me look it up.
I will say though, I do expect then probably Jarvan to gank mid a lot because they're gonna try to get this Tristana fed so that she's able to start taking the turrets around the map.
Let's see here in the mid lane. Not a whole lot of games here. In Plat Plus, oh, on patch 12.12, obviously. The one that dropped about 3 hours ago. Looks like on patch 12.11, which we are obviously playing on 12.12, but in patch 12.11, Swain had a 51.46 win rate into Tristana mid.
Yep, that's what I'm seeing too. It's like a 49 to 51 depending on the site you're watching. So I think that this says that it's probably going to be a skill matchup and probably dependent on jungle pressure.
Dependent on jungle pressure and, of course, whether Zongi and Owl in a Hoodie are able to get some early roams off to put pressure on this Swain.
I will say though, Azir will have to start playing careful once the I guess like laning phase is slightly over around level 6, level 7, just because I know one of the strengths of like a double enchanter quote unquote bot lane is the team fight, right? So either there's going to be a party in the bot lane or there's going to be a party in the mid lane.
And it doesn't matter whether you want to attend or not, you will be invited. Any other thoughts as we wait for spectator delay to finish counting down here?
I'm just interested to see how this lane goes. You don't really see Tristana mid too often, especially in comp play.
Well, not anymore. You used to a couple of patches, or not patches, a couple of seasons ago. It used to be
Seasons
all the
ago.
rage.
Yeah. Misfortune mid, Tristana mid.
Hey, at least we're not seeing Ashe support every other game now.
Hey, I like Ash support.
I
That's
think
that's
that
my
says
groove.
I think that says more about you than you want it to, but
I just like hitting my ultis. It's so satisfying, okay? And it's on like a 30-second cooldown.
well, in either case, Lotus Prestige is bringing something back from the vaults either way. Will be an interesting ride.
Let's look at these runes once we start loading in.
Runes and summoner spells.
Okay, Tristana has Ignite. I think she's gonna try to abuse the Swain early. What else did I see? Seraphine has TP, so they do not have heal or ignite in the bot lane. And then Lulu went heal and Kog'Maw went ghost. So ZMG doesn't have an exhaust or ignite in the bot lane.
Which is perhaps not awful. I'm not sure I love the Ghost. We've seen it somewhat backfire here in a couple of matches that have run Kog'Maw before. I believe it was ZMG Luna that particularly struggled with it. Their Kog'Maw was really unable to do anything because the Ghost did not give a whole lot of power for him. So it'll be interesting to see if Tea Garden is able to make more out of it. Doesn't look
Okay,
like
top
there's any.
top lane is just trolling each other. Okay, okay.
We do see the J4 starting topside here, so perhaps looking to get an early gank onto the bot lane, depending on how the lanes shape out here.
Yeah, depending on how the junglers want to path. Uh, what are they called? Um, let blue side. They're gonna be pathing down, while Kane will be pathing up. So I mean, it works for Kane, so he can try to get his orbs on that Ornn.
We do see fairly even trading both ways in all of these lanes. A bit of an early CS lead here in the mid lane for crits, up about 5 onto Azir despite only going through 2 waves.
To be expected. Tristana naturally pushes, so trying to see us under a turret can always be a challenge.
The early level 2 causing some trouble for Tea Garden in reality here in the bot lane as well as they're pushed under turret. Nothing particularly surprising so far across the map though, both teams a little bit cautious, playing a little bit slowly. Zongi does get trapped in the Yorick cage, but will be able to destroy it with a quick charge.
Does
Widowmaker a
Ornn
little bit low, will get hit by the root, Azir pulling him, and will get the extra bird from the Visions of Empire, able to walk away without any trouble, as Joe Baby it looks like is thinking about trying to find Widowmaker here in the river. We'll find him. Widowmaker does have the smite available. Will use it immediately up to about 500 health. Will get that crab stolen away though. Joe Baby chasing him into the jungle. Will choose to back off despite having Shane's support here. We see Reality roaming up into the mid lane here as well. This is going to be a three-man pincer onto Crits. The immediate jump away. Joe Baby's getting some damage down still. The polymorph will not land, and Crits gets out at the cost of his flash. Are you surprised that Reality roamed so early into this game?
Entirely like surprised, mainly because it looks like Senna's Seraphine shouldn't really be able to full on get the kill if T Garden plays safe enough. And then you saw how low J4 was in his jungle there. So I mean, you kind of know where the enemy jungler is, and then you can just pincer a most likely pushing Tristana.
Very fair. Does force a lot of health out of this Senna too as she tries to hold this wave away from turret. T-Garden, despite being in the 1v2, managed to push that pretty far on his own.
He's just a little Kog'Maw in a lonely world. Vroom vroom. It looks like Drake is spawning in about 5 seconds, so it'll be interesting to see how each team sets up for this Drake and whether or not we'll get an early Drake.
We
It
don't
looks like
see...
they're trying to do something fishy in the mid lane.
I do believe that's just J4 stealing chickens. Yes, he's just snuck in, left one chicken as a reminder to Joe Baby that nothing is safe. And we'll just cross through the mid lane to continue farming up here.
I, in theory, would love to see Kane or Lulu help Azir get priority in the mid lane and then rotate down for Dragon, especially since we know that like this naturally Tristana will be pushing in.
We do see Joe Baby apply a little bit of pressure there coming through the wall, but did not get anything other than that rocket jump out. Will be going back in, but with Widowmaker here on the side, out of Joe Baby's view, they decide not to. Owl in a hoodie and Crisp 10 are roaming up here. This is going to be a 4v2, 4v3 as Lulu begins to roam, but Kog'Maw taking a long time to match this. Will be slow to the pincer here. Azir first to land the pincer, will have to pop that ult very early and will die to the Tristana here. Joe Baby in reality forced to run away. T-Garden in the back trying to get some damage but will not get enough. Owl in a hoodie does manage to survive at about 200 health before using that Q to heal up, and it will be a Drake over to the blue team.
That was some very green pathing from Azir there, especially since we know that a majority of blue side was in the area. I would have preferred him go the safe route and like reconvene with his team, but I'm not sure if he also saw what we saw.
We do see Reality going over the wall here, instantly rooted by the Seraphine and will die. T-Garden flashing forward, does manage to get the kill onto Owl in a hoodie here. Might find himself paying for it as we get more sparring in the top lane. T-Garden does manage to get out alive.
With that being said, Rift will be spawning fairly soon, so I'm curious to see if they will try to get this Rift to kind of jumpstart the Yorick turret pushing. See, imagine if they had Yorick and Velbeth, you know? Like, no turret will be safe.
All of the free minions, just all across the map. T-Garden looking to push this wave and get a reset in. Currently holding on to about 1200 gold.
Oh, it's T Garden's first item was the Executioners for to deal with the Seraphine Senna healing. It looks like Lulu will be rotating up to try to get priority over this Rift. Not Rift. Yeah, Rift. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. Don't
However,
worry.
this is spotted out with the Scryer's Bloom. Widowmaker in the area. Zongi was forced way back, only has about 400 health here, can't potentially join this fight. Shane, just about full health, will be able to roam. And with 4 members in the area for ZMG Legends, this should be a free Rift Herald, as Trist 10 taking a lot of poke here from Teagarden, might find himself dying down to about 10 health and will be forced to flash here to barely survive the Cogmaw. Level 6 and alone is still a scary beast. Owl in a hoodie forced to come down to keep his ADC alive. But Crits may have found reality here. Reality trying to run, has about 250 health. The rocket jump comes out. Will the blast cone be enough? No, it will not. The ult comes out of Crits to get that kill. Two-man pull from Azir, though. The ultimate comes through. The Swain is in his form. Widowmaker down to about 150 health. The ult from Seraphine lands onto Joe Baby and Azir. Joe Baby forced to ult into Owl in a hoodie to survive and will get that kill there. Crits trying to get over the wall. Does not have any cooldowns and will fall as well. That is a shutdown over to Teagarden. Now 2-0-1.
Right there, I think they went a little bit too deep for that Lulu. They also used some like get out of free jail free cards there. So when the red team did collapse on them, they didn't really have much.
The use of the Tristana ult to get the kill onto Lulu was probably the point at which the over-aggression really hit the high point. Because if they had been able to knock away Azir and Joe Baby at any point in that fight, they probably would have been able to survive.
Oh, they didn't do Rift. I thought they got Rift. I'm so confused.
They
Oh, did they
did get
drop it
Rift.
mid? Did they drop it
Looks
mid?
like it, because that mid turret is down to about 2 plates. And I
Wow.
don't think Azir had that much time alone with it. And they absolutely took it uncontested.
I was like, I don't know. I just never, the camera didn't direct me to watch this Rift Herald play mid. Okay.
They might have dropped it before the catch onto Lulu, in which case we
Mm-hmm.
were a little bit busy with other things.
Boom, boom. Sorry.
Our uh, our own Lulu player here on the desk,
I
I
actually don't
suppose.
play a lot of Lulu anymore, but it just sounds so happy when she says it.
Lots of trading here in the top lane, going both ways. We do see it looks like Blue has the advantage on this Drake push, as Zongi forced to pop the ult and use the flash to survive here. Very low, under 100 health. Teagarden, though, might find himself on the wrong side of 3 members, will get hit by the Senna root, will get hit by the Charm, and will die to the Senna ultimate right before Drake spawns. That is not what you want to see from your fed ADC, and that will be likely another Drake going over to blue team here.
Getting vision is good at this point. However, I think as the Kog'Maw, you want to wait until either your Lulu or your Kane goes in first.
However, on the other side of the map, as a result of pushing Zongi out of lane so aggressively, Shane is able to get 3 turret plates here, no problem. Lots of gold in his pocket, going to be backing with nearly 1800 here. Joe Baby looking to perhaps go in on this mid lane. Meanwhile, J4 is floating around the bot side of the map, looking for a dive potentially. Does have that ult available, but neither of his bot laners' ults are there, so he chooses instead to rotate over to the mid lane. Joe Baby just left here. Azir pops the ult. It will not be enough, and Crits gets that kill. Now 3-1. Well, that was certainly unfortunate timing for Joe Baby there, backing just as Widowmaker showed himself there in the mid lane. Looks like he's rotating up to the top side here. Zongi getting poked out a fair bit by Shane. Forces Widowmaker to reconsider that.
I mean, theoretically, like they have a Swain, they have a Kog'Maw with the Lulu and Kane. They have a scaling team comp. So all they really need to do is like kind of just play it slow and let York get pressure across the map.
York certainly getting a lot of pressure here. The junglers are going to find each other here. Widowmaker forced to use the flag and drag to get out, and the flash as well. And it looks like Kane might be considering a dive here. Zongi only has about 400 health, and this turret is on its last legs. So this could very well be a dangerous, dangerous place for this Ornn to be. Down to, let's see here, 450 health. Will call the Ornn Horn. Does get knocked up though, unable to push that ram in a new direction, and that will be a kill for Joe Baby and likely a first turret here. First turret does go down. The Lulu ult has to be used to save Teagarden here on the bot side of the map though. Will just barely survive. Both ults used by the blue side bot lane. And it looks like Teagarden will be forced back here. Lulu going to find himself potentially in a bad spot here as the J4 is there as well. Choosing not to go over that wall.
However, with all that pressure, York is chipping away on the tier 2 turret.
Already making good use of the split pushing potential of that York, and it looks like they're going to take advantage of that topside pressure to get this second Rift Herald as well. What do you think are the chances here that whoever picks it up, which is going to be the Kane, immediately drops it in the top lane to get that tier 2 and potentially a charge onto the inhibitor turret?
If they depending if they get this kill on Ornn right here, I think they may honestly drop it mid lane just to try to start opening up the map, especially since bot lane has already fallen.
We do see 4 members of Lotus Prestige have roamed into the mid lane. The root and the stun lands onto Aulzeren0r, forced to get that Lulu shield and flash away to survive here. Crisp10 taking 2 turret shots though is down to about 150 health as Joe Baby is roaming over here. We'll make this a 4v4. Aulzeren0r though forced to back away with about 100 health. Well, if you're ZMG, how are you feeling here? You're down 2 Drakes, you're down about 1,000 gold, but you feel like you have more map control at the moment with the York.
Honestly, I'm feeling okay. Like, I mean, you just keep sending York to the side lane to push, right? And
Or
eventually
mid
he'll
lane, apparently.
um he's probably just came down because they're gonna try to fight for this next Drake.
Looks like that may be the case. We do see the Herald being popped in the mid lane here. Guess trying to
Yep.
get that charge off onto that first tier turret, draw some pressure away. Aulzeren0r does get jumped on, the rocket jump comes through. Crits putting a lot of damage down into Aulzeren0r here. Does take the full Q to the face, but will get the kill. No charge taken by the Rift Herald as it will fall before it gets to that turret. And once again, it looks like ZMG is forced to give up on this Drake. That's going to be a third Drake here for Lotus Bloom unless ZMG decides to fight it, and that's going to be a 22-minute soul point here.
I think Azir really needs to go Zonias before he can be aggressively walking into that river. Um,
We do see Teagarden here. Might be a little bit too far forward. Doesn't have that flash, but J4 choosing not to go in here.
York doing York things stop, you know.
Just casually taking that second turret as no other turrets on the map have been taken for his team, as you do.
Also, you probably go get this tier 2 top turret here, and then you just kind of go, okay, Orin?
Interesting Ornhorn, I guess trying to take advantage of the fact that Crits was there. Does not land onto anybody, though.
Um,
It's worth noting that
but
despite how pushed up Shane is here, he doesn't really have any vision in Lotus Prestige's blue side or blue buff jungle. So he's pushing up blind when he's up this far.
Looks like they have now started sending the Tristana to deal with the York. And they've sent Orin bot lane.
At 4-1-0, she is certainly formidable.
It looks like York will go bot to keep matching this Orin and probably go and get that tier 1 turret bot.
Seems to be the case here. We're about 40 seconds away from Baron. It appears that Lotus Prestige has gotten the upper hand in terms of getting some early Baron control. Ornn is rotating up as well, leaving this Yorick free to split push if he so likes.
Ooh, that's some good Kog'Maw damage on that Seraphine. Oh, and that will
Forces the
result
flash.
into
The
a kill.
flash from Teagarden will get that kill there. Looks like ZMG chooses not to continue that push into the river. Teagarden certainly hurts at this point.
Hopefully they are able to get this next Drake, though.
Zonky getting the better of Shane in some of these fights, but the Q healing from York is enough to keep him even in these fights.
For this next Drake, I would love to see a ZMG group up as a 4 and walk in together.
That Drake spawning in about 100 seconds here. Looks like both junglers, however, are looking to put some pressure on this bot side of the map. Widowmaker taking his Krugs, while Joe Baby is just hanging around in Dragon Pit. And it does look like this mid lane outer might be the first to fall for the mid lane. Just barely hanging on by the skin of its teeth. About 200 health there, it looks like. Crisp 10 once again finds himself on the wrong end of Teagarden as Azir is here as well. The hook will not land on anybody as they dodge in a completely different direction. Crits has joined the fight as well, choosing not to step out of that bush, and that will be ghost popped by Azir here to chase them down.
But that being said, York is starting the split push top lane, and I do not think we'll be here for the. No, he's teleporting. He will be here for the Drake. I lied.
Does have TP
That's a
available and
liar.
will use it. Teagarden a little bit split from the rest of the team though, way back in the wolf pit as the rest of his team is huddled around this dragon, which will be spawning in about 20 seconds here. Crits
Earlier
dealing
in that little exchange mid, Swain did use Ghost, so Swain does not have Ghost for this.
worth noting as well that the top tier 2 will fall to minions here. The flash forward from Azir, Root goes on to 2, Joe Baby deep in the back of the fight as Azir pops his ultimate, running out of health a little bit quickly though, as it looks like Yorick will be the first to fall here. Seraphine going down as well, Kog'Maw falls too, Joe Baby dying in the back to Crits, and Crits is taking control of this match. Azir still in his ultimate, but Reality running out of health here as well. Will fall to the last bonk from the Ornn. Azir lands the root, but it will not be enough. Zongi survives, Crits survive, Widowmaker survives, and that's going to be a 5 for 2 here in favor of Lotus Bloom, or Lotus Prestige rather, and a early Hextech Soul.
That's not ideal.
All right, what did ZMG do wrong?
They have to. They really have to focus this Tristana. That's like their main like damage dealer, I believe. Which may be hard to do when you have a Seraphine Senna behind you, as well as a big front line with the Orin and J4. But you know, ideally, you need to get rid of that Tristana. I would have to go back and look, but honestly, maybe they should have gone Blue Cane so they could try to assassinate Tristana. Probably not, but
But it's an interesting thought experiment nonetheless. The Hextech Soul is going to be a little bit tough for ZMG Legends to deal with here, but it looks like they are no longer posturing for Baron, as Lotus Prestige sending all 5 members to start up this Baron with only 4 members available for ZMG Legends and no TP for Shane. This is going to be a 4v5. Zongi hardly taking any damage at all from Teagarden as the ult hits. The Seraphine ult hits as well. That's going to be an assassinated Kog'Maw. Azir will not last much longer. And that's a 2-for-0 pick here. Baron did reset fully, so they will have to start that from scratch. In the meantime, Yorick is going to have taken 2 turrets before Orin responds. And it looks like Lotus Prestige is choosing not to continue this Baron pressure and will push mid lane instead. The second turret in the bot lane has been taken as the ult, or the jump coming out of crits will go on to Joe Baby. Joe Baby forced to use the ult to survive, will not survive much longer than a couple of seconds though. And once again, Lotus Prestige are pressuring this Baron. And with no response from ZMG, it looks like they will take this no problem. Reality is the only member here, will not take it with the Glitter Lance over the wall. However, as their pity prize, Yorick will take this mid-tier 1.
York has taken what three turrets with while this bounty the bounty has been on them. So at least they're
Yes.
still able to get some gold into their pockets.
Yes, Yorick has certainly kept this game from being any worse than it would be otherwise. I think he has single-handedly taken all 5 turrets that ZMG has currently taken.
They're about 3,000 gold under, right?
Yes, about a 3,000 gold deficit at the moment, which is almost entirely in the mid lane. Actually, more than entirely. Tristana has a 3,700 gold lead on this Swain at the moment.
I don't know if they really have an answer to the Tristana. I don't know how they're going to kill her
I
without just scaling. They just needed scales so that Swain eventually messes her up.
They need to scale. The other thing that they could potentially do is I do think that they could continue to play where the Tristana is not, may be their choice here, which is what they appear to be doing here, as Joe Baby and Lulu have roamed down to kill this Ornn here. However, they just get the 1 kill and they're nowhere close to that inhibitor, as blue team is pushing through the top lane here, getting 2 turrets in the span of about 20 seconds and pushing into this inhibitor as well. And there it goes. Inhibitor turret is down in the top lane, and turrets are equalized, going from 5 to 2 to 5 to 5 in a span of about 30 seconds is not what you want to see if you're ZMG Legends. Azir ghosting in here will get the root onto Crisp 10. The CC chain is immaculate, and Crisp 10 will be the sacrifice here as the rest of Lotus Prestige is able to get out. Joe Baby with the flash forward forces the flash out of Owl in a hoodie as well. Shane here to help with the push in the mid lane. Turret not taking a whole bunch of damage though. Those Baron empowered minions are a little bit too difficult for ZMG to kill at the moment. Looks like instead they will be peeling off for Elder, which is spawning in about a minute here. Zongi a little bit too aggressive here, forced to flash to survive, or to get away from the Visions of Empire. Will get knocked up by Joe Baby, taking not a whole lot of damage, honestly, at this point. Taking forever to die, still hasn't died. York and Kane both fall before he does, and it looks like that's going to be a 5 for 1 here, as all members of ZMG Legends fall. With about 15 seconds before Elder spawns, that is almost guaranteed to go over to Lotus Prestige here, and ZMG Legends is not in a good spot, would you say?
No, they're gonna lose their inhib here and maybe a Nexus turret. No, they might be able to end here. Honestly,
We've
they
got
have a
about
wave.
10 seconds until anyone respawns here, and it's going to be just Joe Baby and Reality at first. First Nexus turret falls very quickly. Second turret does not take much longer, and the Nexus will go down here. That is going to be game 1 going over to Lotus Prestige. Well, that was almost an anticlimactic ending. It felt like going from fights to, hey, game's over.
I think their main issue right there was the fact that they never really focused the Tristana. They blew a lot trying to kill like either Seraphine or Orin, but their true target really needed to be that Tristana, who was just jumping in and assassinating like the whole team.
Absolutely. The Tristana was a problem, and I don't think ZMG ever found a solution. I, I don't think they drafted a solution. I don't think there was a solution available to them. But I also don't think they really did a good job in game of trying to manufacture some form of solution either.